what is up, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Gio, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about all the books that I read in the month of July. Before this, I did film what I'm reading for the month of August. If y'all want to check that out, I'll leave it linked down below. But let me start off by saying I think that July was probably my best month of reading this whole year. I just flew through these books, and I highly believe it's because of the series that I was reading. But I have 2 of my physical books from my physical TBR that I read. So originally I had 38 books, now I'm down to 36. I did have some physical books that weren't mine that I borrowed, that I read this month, and then I also read a couple of ebooks as well. So I'm going to take y'all along with me to go through the books that I read and let y'all know what I thought about them. So the first book that I read was The Game by Lindsay Miller. This book, I ended up giving it 2 stars. I could see the potential, but in the end it just was not that great, and the plot twist was just horrible. It's basically about this girl who it's her senior year, and what they do for like the last semester of senior year, they have this game that goes on where you team up and you have to kill people, but killing as in you have to like sneak up on them with water guns. There's all these rules, and it's a small town, so the adults know of this game that goes on, and they have people that kind of like monitor it, and they're like the past champions. But while this is going on, people actually end up dying along the way, and so they have to figure out, you know, who's behind all this and why, you know, why they're killing all these people. And overall, I think the ending was just stupid. The person that ended up being the killer, I feel like their motive was just very dumb, and I just could not agree with the way that things went down. I know that there was some parts that were like kept me wanting to read because it's a thriller book, but overall it just was not my taste, and I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. So right after that, I did read another physical book. It's The Wives by Tarryn Fisher, and I read from her The Wrong Family, and that has to be one of my all-time favorite books. I know a lot of people don't agree with me, but I personally love that book. And with this one, I gave it a 5-star at first, but then I went back after really thinking about it, and it was kind of more of a 4-star book for me, but it was still really good. So this book, we follow this girl, her name's Thursday, and basically she is married to this guy, but they're in a poly relationship where he has 2 other wives, but she's the legal wife. So he has you know, 2 other wives. All 3 of them are supposedly completely different from each other, and it's kind of just like a system that they work with. But then she finds this paper in his jacket one day when he's gone, and it has the name of one of the other wives. So just out of curiosity, she goes and finds her and ends up having a friendship with her, and then she feels like something happened to her, something's wrong, because she has bruises on her arms, and she was just kind of terrified. And so she's thinking, this can't be the same husband that we have, can it? And oh, also when she finds her, she does not tell her that she's the other wife. So overall, it was very good. The plot twist was just crazy, and I love her writing. I would definitely recommend this book, especially if you're into like very like classic like women thriller books. So the next books that I read were on my Kindle. So I have my Goodreads up right here. Okay, so I wish I hadn't read this because I did not want to add it into this video, but I read it, so I'm gonna add it, just don't read it. But I ended up reading on my Kindle, it's called Dead Inside by Chandler Morrison. This is a splatterpunk novel. It's a extreme horror / gore novel, and I don't even know if I can like describe the book and still make a video and not get this video taken down. So it's about this guy who is a security guard at the hospital, and he likes to engage in certain activities with not living females in the morgue at the hospital. And during his time there, he meets a female labor and delivery doctor that likes to engage in cannibalism of unborn babies. And so he catches her, they strike up a relationship, even though he does not like being near alive people. It's very weird. Clearly there is something extremely wrong with the both of them. I don't even know how I continued reading the book. There was just some things that were so extreme that I just could not get out of my head. I could not read. I couldn't eat while I was reading this book. Extremely disturbing. So if you're into the splatterpunk genre, I would say yeah, give it a go. But as a mom, as like a normal human being, it was just weird. So I ended up giving this book, what was it? Where is it? I ended up giving it a 3-star. The only thing that I really liked was the way that it ended. I think it ended so well. It was like the perfect way to end this book. I had no idea where this book was going, how it was going to end. It's very short, but for what it's worth, the ending was pretty good. But after that, I ended up reading all of the Twilight series except for Midnight Sun. I did not have a chance to read that this month, but it's in my August reads. So the only physical book that I have right here is the Breaking Dawn. I actually borrowed the Twilight and New Moon and Eclipse, and this one from my sister. And then there's also the novella or short story after Eclipse. It's called The Short Second Life of Bree Tanner, so I read that one as well. But I read that one on my Kindle. And so if y'all didn't watch my my July TBR, I did go into detail about how I've never read any of the Twilight books. I did not understand the hype. the whole Team Edward, Team Jacob kind of thing. I just thought the whole thing was stupid, and I've never cared for like any vampire books. I think like if I were to go into Barnes & Noble, prior to reading these, if I went to Barnes & Noble and I looked at the back of the book and I saw it had vampires, I would immediately be turned off and not want to read it. But I am so glad that I ended up reading this series. I sped through these books because, I mean, this one alone is 750 pages. I think the first one is like 450 pages. So, you know, I feel like these books could have taken me, like this one alone probably should have taken me like 2 weeks to finish. This one took me like 6 days, which is crazy how little sleep I got this past month because I was just trying to read these because I really enjoyed them. So for the first book, Twilight, I ended up giving that book 4 out of 5 stars. You know, it's just very slow, just building up to everything. I feel like one of the things that I didn't really like was, you know, Edward's her first boyfriend, her first real love, and I just feel like, I mean, I know it's just a fictional book, but I feel like it would have been nice for her to have maybe had some previous relationships. It probably could have added more to the stories and made their whole like end goal relationship a little bit more realistic. Yeah, I think that was really it. I mean, I also watched the movie right after I read it, and the movie was absolutely horrible. I could not stop laughing, but I liked being able to watch it right after I read the book so I could see the differences. I do feel like her dad Charlie, you get a lot more of him in the books, and I really like him in the books compared to the movie. Another thing that I didn't really care for in the first book was I did not like Jacob, really. I just felt like he was childish and kind of annoying, just following her. So on that first book, I was Team Edward. And then when I read the second book, New Moon, that one I ended up giving a 3-star. I don't like Edward in the book at all. It's just, you know, the thing, what he does when he ends up leaving, I just thought it was so dumb, the way that he went about everything. So gave that 3 stars. But I still continued on with the series. The next one that I read, Eclipse, that one was a 5-star read for me. I absolutely loved it. And I want to say, so by the second book, I was Team Jacob. And in the third book, Eclipse, I can 100% say that like I am Team Jacob all the way. I thought it was so heartbreaking. I was just crying, and it was mostly towards the end when you know, he's talking to her about this life that they could have had together, where they would have been happy and been able to have kids together, and she would have been safe. And the fact that she knew that she could have had all of that with him and she still threw it away, like, I felt so heartbroken for Jacob. And you know, it was at that point that I understood why he did all the things he did, and you know, why he ends up running away. So I felt bad for him, but I overall loved that story, and that ended up being like the only 5-star of this series for me. Right after that, I read The Short Second Life of Bree Tanner, the little novella / short story. So in Eclipse, at the very end, there's a newborn vampire, Bree Tanner, and we get like a little backstory of her short life while she was a brand new vampire. And I really liked it. I liked how they mention all of these people that we didn't get a glimpse of really in the third book. But there was a lot of things that I felt like were missing. Granted, it's just a short novella. I feel like I would have enjoyed to hear more of like her backstory when she was a human. I feel like there was a lot that could have been added, but just wasn't added since it's just a short story. I ended up giving that one a 2-star. I feel like the whole justification of what they're doing sounded really stupid, and she thought it was stupid. This other guy that she becomes friends with thought it was stupid. And my whole thing is, how can you give such a stupid reason to a group of people for why they're going to go into war with all these other vampires that have been vampires for such a long time? I just can't see the justification of it. So that's what really killed the vibe, and that's really why I gave it 2 stars. So very last book that I read for this month was, of course, Breaking Dawn by Stephenie Meyer. I really like this book too. I like how you get all the different clans that are throughout the world that come together. I wish she could have probably mentioned them more throughout the first 3 books, because since I knew very little coming into the series, I thought that the Volturi, is that how you say it? The Volturi clan and the Denali clan, and then the Cullens were really the only ones that existed. I did not know that there was actually a lot more out there than, what's mentioned. So I feel like by the time we got to the 4th book and she had to wrap everything up, it was, let's add something else because we need to wrap this up somehow, and so let's just add all these other clans that we've never mentioned before. I overall gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I just didn't like the whole war part at the end, the way that it played out. I thought it was kind of dumb. The part that I was like most sad for though was when she actually went to go see the lawyer to make the fake passports and the driver's license just in case something were to happen to her and Edward. And that was a way that Jake could get away with Renesmee, if that's how you pronounce her name. But overall, I feel like reading these books, it was well worth it. I'm really glad that I ended up reading them, and I can't wait to read Midnight Sun. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Midnight Sun is, I want to say, at least the first book just from Edward's perspective. I don't know, I'll have to look that up, but that one I know is like 850 pages long. That one is gonna be a while to read, and I have that one on my Kindle, so maybe it won't feel as long. But yeah, those are all the books that I read for the month of July. I'm super glad with the amount of books that I was able to read this month, and I can't wait to read more and share more with y'all. So if y'all like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and I will see y'all in my next one. Bye.